Kelly here again, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to another art related video. For this one, I decided to take you along as I fill up 2 pages of my sketchbook. And at first I was only going to show you the sketching process, but then I decided to color in the pages because I actually quite liked my drawings and I thought it would look really cool once I add some colors and some effects. So I ended up drawing 5 characters, and these are all my original characters, and I have a few stories that are basically just in my head, and I've spoken about it many times here on my channel whenever I do some kind of drawing or sketchbook tour. So at first you're going to see me start and prepare well, for a long time and wonder what to draw because I wasn't really sure. I really wanted to draw something and I wanted to do it traditionally, but all the things that I wanted to do to practice were things that I would rather do digitally. For instance, I'm really looking into drawing more backgrounds because I'm very bad at that. And as I flipped through in the beginning, you would have seen I was practicing perspective in one of the previous pages, and I had drawn little boxes with perspective. That exercise was really fun, but it also took me a long time, and I feel like I really should be doing more of that, but at the same time maybe starting off digitally would be a bit easier. I don't know, it's just a thought. So I really want to draw more backgrounds. I also really wanted to come up with some outfits and some poses for my characters, but again, it's a lot easier to do that digitally than it is traditionally. So I decided to just draw my characters, basically just profiles. Only one of them has more than her shoulders showing, and that's the one I ended up messing up. So yeah, right now I am drawing one of my girl characters. Her name is Jess, and I've drawn her quite a few times on my channel. Well, not actually drawn, but showed her, and I've spoken about her. Actually, she is the only character I think I've done a full drawing video dedicated to her. I did what was it? Did I draw some? Yeah, I drew some digital poses and different different drawings of her in one video. If you're interested, I will link that in the cards, for instance, or you can find it on my channel. But yeah, her name is Jess. I love drawing her. She's my favorite to draw, actually, and because I have a pretty good idea of what she looks like and her attitude and her character, I wanted to keep it a bit simple, and I decided to just draw her with a mask because obviously it's a pandemic, you know, people wear masks, and I wanted to draw my characters in masks as well. So that's kind of why I chose her, because I've drawn her so many times. I'm very aware of what she looks like, how to draw her. So, you know, something a bit simpler, and you can still take her, you know, notice her attitude and everything even from the sketch. So I'm quite happy with this. It's a small drawing, but I think it turned out really cute, especially looking at it with the colors as well. It's kind of cute. The other 2 girls that I drew were Millie and Emily, and in the second place I drew Millie, and her I drew on the left side. I was trying to fill up both the pages. I watch a lot of Drawing with Waffles videos, and if you've seen her videos, she's amazing. But if you've seen her videos, you know that she opens up the sketchbook and just entirely fills up the whole spread. Everything is evenly positioned and spaced, and it's all different and dynamic, and I really want to be able to do that because I love how it looks when you flip through the pages. But at the same time, it's just not the way that I typically draw, because I don't fill entire pages. If I were to fill an entire page, it would probably be with an entire painting on that page. So doing a few small ones is really hard for me to just kind of squish together on the page. I do have a few of those that turned out good. When I am drawing one thing and I know that one thing is, you know, gonna fill up all 2 pages, then I'm fine. Like the practice drawings with the perception perspective practice drawings. Those ones turned out cool because I spaced them out all throughout the page and it just looks a bit more polished. But when it comes to drawing just random doodles, like right now, random doodles of my character, I can't space them out on the entire page. I would much rather just draw Jess on entire one page, Millie on the other, and then switch to other pages and just have like 2 or 3 drawings on the entire page and the rest is left empty. So that's just my style. I don't know. It's just I think it's something psychological, because every time I think about or hear people on YouTube say that they want to fill up the entire page, my mind always jumps to something that my aunt told me, and my aunt actually it's a very interesting story. It's her story, but I'm still gonna tell you guys because I do think it was interesting, and I don't understand exactly what they were going for or what the problem was. So hear me out. So my aunt was she lived in Israel for a long time, and the first time that she went there, she was studying the language, she was trying to get a job, and they would do these psychological evaluations when you go in to apply for jobs. So she one of the tests, I guess, or experiments that they did in the evaluation was they gave her 2 pieces of paper, or no, maybe they gave her a few pieces of paper, and they told her to draw 2 drawings. And she took 1 piece of paper, she split it into 2, and she drew the first drawing on the one part and the second drawing on the second part. And the I don't know, is it a psychologist? I guess the psychologist kind of was a little worried, and she started asking her, why did you draw all on one page? Why didn't you just use all of the rest of them? And apparently when you cram everything on the page, it's some kind of like a red flag, and I don't know why, but apparently it's a thing. Maybe it has something to do with anxiousness, or I really don't know. If somebody has any idea, would you mind telling us in the comment section down below? Because I'm very, very interested. Why was it such a problem that she drew both pictures on one page? Because apparently it was a problem, and it signified, it's signalized, man, I cannot talk today. It's signalized for something, but I don't know what. So I would be very interested to find out what could it possibly mean if you start cramming all of the drawings on one page and filling up all of the space. Because, well, naturally I don't do that. I do the exact opposite. It's very hard for me to cram everything on one page. I actually start getting anxiety, probably because I can't fill them up properly, but yeah, it just gives me a little bit of anxiety. So I would love to know if there's any psychological reason for it. Now, I have already drawn the second character, which is Millie on the left, and I was really happy with how it was going, but I did end up ruining it at some point because she doesn't really look like herself, and also she's a bit wonky, and I do kind of like the pose in her hand. It's one of the better hands that I've drawn ever, trust me. But yeah, I ended up ruining her a lot, even with the colors that I added, so you won't be seeing much of that particular drawing in the future. But right now, I have moved on to one of my male characters. His name is Matt, and he's supposed to be half Japanese, half white. But my color schemes are, well, they're interesting. For one, I only have like 2 or 3 colors that would be good for skin tones, and they're basically just a light skin tone with shading, and I actually have a lot of colors for darker skin tones. I really stack up on those. So yeah, but these particular characters, they don't suit them. Those colors don't suit them, and I don't really have anything that is good for the different variations of their skin tones that they have, because Millie is supposed to be a bit more tan and with blonde hair and green eyes, while Jessica is supposed to be very light in her skin tone with red hair and violet eyes, and Matt, as I said, is half Asian, so he's not even supposed to be this color, but this is the only color that I had. Well, obviously you can't see it right now, but towards the end, I'm just trying to explain in the beginning now that I kind of messed up with the colors. Not because I wasn't trying to, it's just I don't have enough colors in my collection to work up the proper skin tones. So in digital art, there are different skin tones. It's just here I was kind of limited with whatever I had. So I already drew Matt. I think it's a really cool sketch. I like it, but at the same time, I think it's a little elongated. His face is not supposed to be so long, but still, I quite like the way it turned out. And again, it has some attitude, and that's kind of what I was trying to do here. All of the characters have different personalities and personality traits, so I was trying to kind of make that shine through with the little faces that they make. I was gonna say poses, but they're just heads, they're floating heads, so it's just the faces. So yeah, Millie is supposed to be kind of shy and awkward and also very geeky, and I think it comes off like that way. Obviously I drew her that way, but I think it comes off well. The one that I'm starting to draw now, his name is Nick, and this is actually the second time ever that I've drawn him. I have an idea of what he looks like, though he changed quite a bit over the years, but I haven't drawn him. I think I drew him only once a couple of years back when I drew Matt for the first time as well. And I don't really... Oh, right now, this is an old sketchbook of mine. This is the first one that I ever filled up almost towards the end. This is where I drew Matt and Nick for the first time. Well, I think I drew Matt sometimes before when I was a kid, but he definitely did not look like that. So this was the time when I tried to make them look more recognizable. So you can see Matt on the top and Nick on the bottom, and I was trying to convey this, and you can kind of tell that my style has evolved a little bit, or at least my abilities have evolved a little bit. So yeah, right now I'm drawing Nick for the second time in my entire life, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. He's also supposed to be kind of geeky and shy, but also a little more extroverted than Millie is. Millie is supposed to be very introverted and even more like painfully shy. And I drew them both together because they're supposed to be love interests in my story. So I thought it would be cute if they kind of have the same, oh, I'm embarrassed, shy kind of vibe on the same page. And at first I was going to make her look at him and him look at her, but that just didn't make sense for the eye placement and the giant head that's floating down there. So yeah, I scrapped that idea. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. Nick in particular, I think he turned out really cute, and it looks like a guy, like a boy, I guess. Not a guy, because I can't draw guys. That's another thing that I should probably start working on. He's supposed to be more like, not chibi, but yeah, a little bit larger and cheeky, and he's just squishy. That's the only word I have for it, just squishy. And Matt is supposed to be slanky. Are those the right words? Am I even using the right words? I don't know. But he's supposed to be squishy, and Matt's more angular, so that's kind of what I have in my head. Yeah, at some point I decided that the candle was ruining my camera or my camera stand, because I noticed that the camera stand had heated up a little bit, not a lot, but just a little bit, and I got worried, so I just removed the candle. And I think it's fine. Probably nobody noticed it, but I was really happy with the candle and how the whole aesthetic was turning out. So now that we don't have it, yeah. So right now I'm drawing the last character. Her name is Emily, and she is the one that turned out the least like herself, at least in this particular drawing, because I did the eyes and eyebrows, I think, a little bit more feminine. And honestly, whether it's because of the braid and the nose, but there's just something in this particular drawing that reminds me of Jasmine from Aladdin, and I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it at all. She's not supposed to be like Jasmine, but she is supposed to have a larger turned down nose. And that's another thing that I was trying to do at some point in my life, was give my characters different facial features and different noses, different eyes, different face shapes. And you can't really tell in this particular one because everyone's just kind of facing in a different way, and one's got their face covered. But Jess is supposed to have a very cute button nose, very turned up. Amelie is supposed to have more of a straight nose but still turned up, and Emily is supposed to have a downward facing nose. Is that the word? I don't know if that's the word, but I hope you get what I'm saying. And I think in this particular one, at least for Emily, you can kind of tell that, especially when I do the line art later. And she has very long, sleek, black hair, which I am absolutely in love with, and I love drawing her hair. For the guys' features, I haven't really established them well in my head. For instance, the noses, I just have kind of the eyes. Matt obviously has more angular eyes, and Nick is supposed to have them rounded and more cutesy looking. Now, we jumped a little bit ahead. I didn't film myself inking because honestly, I kind of think it's a boring process, the inking part. At least if you're not using anything special. I just used a normal Micron pen. Or was it the Copic pen? I don't even remember. I'm gonna link it on. Oh no, actually it's the white thing on the left there. Do you see the white little pen at the left edge? That's a Marvy drawing pen. I love that thing to death. That's my favorite inking tool. It does not budge when it comes to Copic markers. You know, if you let it sit a little bit. I ended up drawing a little too fast over Emily's drawing, so it smudged a tiny little bit there, but all of the rest of them completely fine. I love that pen. I think it's so juicy. I've had it for years, and so far it works perfectly. So yeah, I ended up not filming the process of inking and jumping straight into the colors. Honestly, this video was turning out really, really long, and I was really not sure whether I would include the Copic marker process because, well, people are gonna get bored. But I thought, you know, I do love it when I watch other YouTubers and drawing videos where they use markers and how they use them. So I thought that, you know, might as well. I cut it up a little bit into pieces just so you can get kind of the idea of what I'm doing. I used the exact same skin tone for everyone. That's just what I had. It's just how it happened. And one thing that I did not film was that I added some details with pencils. And I don't have any fancy pencils. I just have very regular child grade pencils from Carandash. And I just added very few details. I really want to buy the Polychromos pencils that everyone's raving about on YouTube and just the entire art community, but those are super expensive. It's insane. I can't, like, it's more for a 24 color set. It is more than I pay for my electricity, my heating, and my water in 1 month. And that's just 24 set pencils. So yeah, it's 3 bills. It's more than 3 bills, and I just cannot justify it in good conscience at this moment in time for me to buy those. So yeah, I probably will at some point because I like spending money. If I'm like, who doesn't? But yeah, that's just way too expensive. And I know that they're not that expensive in other countries. I mean, still they're very expensive, but here they're just insane, and I really don't understand why. But yeah, so right now what I'm doing is kind of softening the shadows. So I end up adding a skin tone, which in this case I used E00, and then I add some shadows with E11, and I then go back to the E00, which is the lighter color, and I just, while it's still wet, I kind of blend them together. This paper and this sketchbook is really horrible on Copic markers. I do not recommend it. It soaks them up like a little sponge, and it's kind of hard to work with, but you can still get a nice result while it's still wet, because it does take a bit longer time to dry. But yeah, I would rather have a different sketch markers, but at the same time, because this paper is so fluffy and it soaks them up, it also makes the colors very vibrant. So I just love the way it looks on this paper, even though it just ruins my markers. But yeah, that's, I don't know, the things that you have to do and compromises. So whether I would have really striking colors in my drawings or I would ruin my expensive markers. Yeah, it's the decisions I have to make as an artist. So yeah, I add the shadows, I mix them while they're still wet with the lighter one. I kind of blend them out a bit, and then I move on to the rest of the colors. This is basically, we're almost at the end of the video. I'm not sure, there's like a few minutes left. So I, at some point, wanted to fill in the space between the left page and the right page, and the way I decided to do that is I added the colors that I used on all of my characters, because it's important that I keep going back into, like, when I draw my character in a different point of my sketchbook, I keep going back to see which colors I used, what is perfect for her hair, for instance, and her skin. Obviously the skin in this situation does not apply, but yeah, I like adding it so I know which colors I use, so I can reference it later on in life. I did have one like this in one of my previous sketchbooks, but well, the skin color that I used for Jess was dried out. I should really get that one, because that one was a really good, very light pinky tone skin tone, and I don't have that. Right now I only have this one, and everyone kind of looks tan, so I'm not entirely happy, but I should get those skin tones. And yeah, I added up adding some dots in the places where I could, so I would know which colors I used. And I didn't use that many. I tried to just make them all cohesive. I know that's kind of impossible when they're all just heads and they all have different hairs and different eyes, but you know, having the skin tone be the same is, I guess, kind of helping. And I added the gray from the mask, from Jess's mask, to Millie's top, so we wouldn't use any other colors and it wouldn't distract from the color scheme. And I also added the light gray that I use for shadows in the eyes to Matt's t-shirt. So yeah, that's practically it. We're almost done with this video, so I'm gonna do a little show review in a way at the end of the video. As I said, the only things I added that I didn't record were details with the pencils. Oh, and also the lines. I played a little with the line variation, which you're going to see me start doing at the very end, right before my camera got off, so I had to cut that out. But I do end up adding darker lines, so they're a bit more cartoony. I do like when I do that on my style. I think it looks good because my style is just very well stylized. So the dark lines help, and yeah, that's basically it. I add some dark lines, I add some white gel pen for a little bit of details, and I add some pencils, and the finished result I'm really happy with. So I hope you guys like this too. I hope you enjoyed this video, so thank you so much for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe if you like what you see and would like to see more, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!